for the 7th of the 5th round ties in this season's Scottish Cup. It's a big one in Paisley. It is. St Mirren against Celtic. It's live here on Sportsound on BBC Radio Scotland with Pat Bonner, Stephen McGinn and Al Lamont.
Thanks very much, Richard. Welcome to the Spicer Stadium as Celtic continue the quest for a record 42nd Scottish Cup against a St Mirren side that lost 5-1 to today's opponents at the same stage of the tournament last season. Celtic were also comfortable winners here at the start of last month, but you don't have to delve too far into the history books to find a St Mirren victory in this fixture. September of last season, Ange Postecoglou's side lost for the only time before the league was won. Two sides out on the Paisley turf in preparation for kick-off. Referee David Dickinson with the two captains, Marcus Fraser and Callum McGregor, on the halfway line with the coin toss. St Mirren will kick off the game in their traditional black and white stripes, black shorts and white socks. Celtic in one of the change kits, the greyish green, and they're just about to go into their huddle as Callum McGregor makes his way across to lead that particular last bit of the team talk. And we are just about ready to get underway on a pretty calm afternoon. Ashen skies above us, but dry for the moment. The pitch is a little bit rutted looking. No real surprise given some of the weather we've had in the west of Scotland of late. But should be another cracking cup tie this afternoon. It's pretty difficult to call. You'd have to say Celtic clearly coming in as favourites, but St Mirren determined to try and give them a game here, a real test. And it will be the buddies to get us underway. They're going from left to right in this first period. And David Dickinson gives the signal and we're underway. And immediately Aramida knocking Bacchus to the ground as he tried to close down from the kick-off. Celtic have it through Ida, who scored those two penalties. His first strikes for his new club to win the game at Easter Road. Very hard-fought victory it was. Maida's conceded an early free kick. Paggy, I was thinking earlier on that to some extent it's all about how Celtic start this game. If they go out there, start with a high tempo and really, put their imprint on the game, then they should run out pretty comfortable victors. But they haven't done that every single game we've seen them this season.
No, and it's about controlling the game and pushing St Mirren. When you move the ball and move it well, I'll come back to you on that one.
Yeah, it's a potential St Mirren chance as the ball's played into the box. It's Buomono standing up to the edge of the 6-yard box. It's headed clear, and then McGregor lofts it up towards the halfway line where Gogic will bring it under control and steps away from Kyogo and Maida and clips out to the left-hand side for Kiltie. Kiltie brings it under control, moving up towards the penalty area on the left-hand side. Tanser in support, goes to Tanser, whips it in near post. Welsh gets the header clear, but good early pressure, Stephen McGinn from St Mirren.
Yeah, they'll be delighted with the start. I think they spoke about making Celtic defend early and plenty of encouragement for the home fans.
Here's Gogic at the back, plays it square for Marcus Fraser, just inside his own half, under pressure from Kyogo, plays it out of play and it didn't come off Kyogo as Fraser was claiming, and it's a Celtic throw-in quickly taken by Bernabe. Back to Scales, who takes a chance inside his own penalty area, then nudges it back to Joe Hart, who takes a touch and gets out to Stephen Welsh. And Celtic defence coming under significant pressure there, but ultimately dealing with it pretty well, Packy.
Yeah, a few nerves, I was saying. The crowd, we looked around ourselves here and everybody was kind of almost smiling. Liam Scales he's got almost confidence in Joe Hart, isn't he, to do that and knock it back to him. And Joe Hart stayed very cool also, but that's that high press from St Mirren with the three players up, and if they do that and do it well, you've got to be really assured when you're trying to play out, and Liam Scales did it well that time, I've got to say.
But on a bobbly pitch this early in the game, they were taking a chance, but they did get away with it, and credit to Scales and Hart, who kept their composure. Here's Bernabe in the halfway line trying to lose Jameson. The young man in making another start for St Mirren this afternoon. Welsh has it. He was taken off at Easter Road. He got a couple of dunts, but fit enough to start this one.
Yeah, go back to your question right at the start about Celtic, you know, having lots of possession and control in the game. When they get their passing away, you know, St Mirren can only just drop back a little bit, and they can't put them under pressure if they move that ball quickly off their first, second touch. And that then creates the space in the pitch where Celtic dominated the game from that perspective. So, and that's how it's kind of developed in the last minute or so. The Celtic are now pushed St Mirren back, and they're in control of the game.
Bernabei preparing to take a throw in from the left-hand side, about 25 yards from the corner flag. Ida can't bring it under control. It's lashed off him and high into the air. O'Reilly tries to bring it under control himself, but can't do so. And it's picked up instead by Jameson, the 21-year-old, out for a St Mirren throw-in to be taken by Elvis Bomono, who made his debut in that previous encounter against Celtic in the league at the start of January, just before the break, and has made that right wing back slot his own in the continued absence of Ryan Strain, who's a big miss for St Mirren. He's also missing the likes of O'Hara and McMenamin, and a club with the squad or the stature of St Mirren's can't really afford to be without three big players like that for any great length of time. But they're still doing a pretty good job in the upper echelons of the Premiership. And here's Bomono bringing it under control and knocking it up towards the halfway line, looking for Kilty, but Ralston rises above him and wins it. Now breaks for Welsh just inside his own half, forward for O'Reilly, and Ralston in support, right hand side coming forward. Maida, who started out on the right hand side for Celtic, up to the angle of the penalty area, checks back the way, finds McGregor about 30 yards out, clips that into the penalty area. Marcus Fraser was unsure who was around him and just nods it behind for a Celtic corner kick.
Yeah, Stephen Robinson looked quite frustrated. Marcus Fraser putting out there for a corner, but he can't take any chances if he's not sure, and does the right thing.
Corner kick quickly taken on the left hand side. Palmer's gone back to McGregor, back with the Honduran now. Palmer, low ball in, could be a difficult one to deal with. Welsh was in there trying to make things awkward for the St Mirren back line, and they haven't really got their lines clear. They have now, after a bit of dallying with the ball by Boyd Munce. It's a throw into Celtic on the halfway line, taken by Bernabei, getting a bit of a run in the team now with the absence of Greg Taylor continuing, as O'Reilly picks up and tries to feed it through for Maida, who's quick, but so too is Charles Dunn, who just sees it out of play. St Mirren goal kick, but played just over 5 minutes. It's St Mirren 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, a good penetrating pass and a penetrating run, something that Brendan Rodgers mentioned in his pre-match commentary that they were looking for, but it was well defended by Charles Dunn. He read the game, read the situation really well at that point in time, and he had the momentum to match Maeda's run.
Goal kick then to be taken by Zach Hemming. Started every game this season, 3 clean sheets in his last 4, including Queen of the South in the previous round. A narrow victory, it has to be said, over the League One side, but they did the job in getting through thanks to Alex Gogic's goal. Ball in the air just at the moment. Bernabei eventually knocks it back to Scales and then plays it square for Welsh. Welsh just outside his own penalty area, brings it up field and then plays it once more to Liam Scales, who, as Stephen said earlier on, is having a fabulous season. Out to Palmer, feeds it forward for Bernabei, comes off his heel but manages to bring it under control, but only momentarily, as St Mirren have nicked it back, and it's Jameson coming forward. His run forward is checked by Palmer, out for a throw in just in front of Stephen Robinson, who I would imagine is pretty content with the way his side have begun the game, competitive and not making life easy for Celtic. But here's Kyogo picking up possession as Fraser couldn't find the pass, tries to feed it for Ida. There's a good touch in there, it takes out for a throw in to Celtic down near the corner flag on the left hand side, quickly taken by Palmer for Bernabei. Palmer back in the starting lineup after coming off the bench at Easter Road during the week. Welsh for Ralston, who also came off the bench for the injured Alistair Johnstone. We wish him well in his recovery from that head knock. Here's Palmer, left hand side, up against Bomona, about 20 yards from the goal line. Bernabei now still on the left hand side, back with Palmer. McGregor now forced back the way. Scales under pressure here from Mandron, who's had his pocket picked by the big striker. Scales now trying to stay with him. Mandron's held it up for the run of Bomono coming forward. Bernabei trying to get back the way. Keanu Bacchus back in the St Mirren starting lineup. A welcome return for the Australian international. Spreads play to Tanser, who's got time to measure across. Into the middle it comes. Mandron up against Bernabei, forces it back into the middle of the penalty area. O'Reilly turns it clear only as far as Fraser. Fraser from the right hand side thinks about the cross, then checks back, and Palma knocks it behind. It'll be a St Mirren corner. Good spell of play there.
It's brilliant from Mandron. He's got after Liam Scales, he's won the ball back. St Mirren have played it out wide, and he's there at the back post to try and exploit the lack of height for Alex Bernabei. Really dangerous situation for St Mirren there.
Yeah, and Tanser's got a cross on him, hasn't he? He puts in a brilliant cross, and the height of Mandron at the back post is the key for them.
Yeah, it was a mismatch up against Bernabei there. Caelan Boyd-Munce on the right hand side, then about to swing this one in with the left foot. St Mirren, plenty bodies in and around that penalty area. Right on top of Joe Hart, who gets a good fist to it, left fist punching it out to the far side, and it's a St Mirren throw-in. Happy with the way Joe Hart dealt with that one, Packy?
Yeah, well, I like to see a goalkeeper catch the ball the odd time too, but he made the right choice. He was under a little bit of pressure, and he's got a good punch on it and knocks it away to safety.
Here comes St Mirren again, and Ralston forced to turn it behind under pressure there from Kilty. It'll be a corner on the left hand side this time, as St Mirren enjoy a positive start to the game. We've played 9 minutes, still goalless, but the home side every bit as much threatening in this game as their more illustrious visitors. And Kilty has gone across to take this one. Right footed, it'll be another in swinger to the near post. It's not a great delivery, and McGregor able to get it back out to Kilty on that left hand side. Another poor cross into the box. St Mirren trying to make the most of it, but Scales has got it clear up to Keogh just inside his own half. Heavy first touch, he just gets away with it, and able to find the pass for O'Reilly, who tries to feed it forwards. St Mirren though get bodies back. Boyd-Munce nudges it back to Charles Dunn, who finds Fraser under pressure there from Maida, but does get the pass off to Jameson, and then Fraser again is short with the pass. McGregor on his toes feeds it into the left channel for Ida. Charles Dunn just trying to see him out, and I think he's successfully done that against the Irish striker, who knocked it into the back of the net, but had already gone behind for a goal kick. We've played 10 minutes. It's St Mirren 0, Celtic 0.
I was a bit fearful there that Charles Dunn was going to dive in and go to ground, but he did. He just used his body and sort of almost eased Adam Ida off the ball slightly, and he lost control, but I just thought he was going to dive in, Stephen, just as he went for that ball.
Yeah, I think the pitch size just helped him out in the end, but there's no doubt the pitch is tricky. It's caught out Marcus Fraser there. It's bobbled up just before he passed the ball. Long-term groundsman Tommy, before I got lynched on the way out, he's always did a good job here. Always a good surface, but it looks particularly tricky today.
Mandron backing it into Scales and causing problems again as the ball breaks for Kilty, who's played it out to Tanser left hand side, and he's able to make tracks down that left flank for St Mirren. In comes the ball. It's not a great delivery on this occasion from Tanser, who so often does put a good ball into the box. It's headed away, but St Mirren pick up once more. The home fans enjoying what they're seeing so far. It's Tanser once more, almost on the touchline on that left hand side. Plays it to Kilty. Moves back into the penalty area. Bernabei gets the header away. Pomono back for Bacchus, who tries his luck. Comes off McGregor, who took a real sore one at the edge of the box. St Mirren continue. McGregor trying to play through the pain barrier there, I can tell you. As Ida collects possession, as Celtic managed to clear the lines. There's been a goal at Dens Park. We'll cross to Brian McLaughlin for news of that in just a moment, but St Mirren have won it back, and it's Tanser feeding Kilty left hand side. Mandron the only target in the middle for now. Jameson trying to get in to help him. It's still Kilty. It's a good ball. It's in a difficult area. Hart wasn't sure whether to come or not, but it goes straight behind in the end for a goal kick, which gives us the opportunity to cross the Dens. Brian McLaughlin.
Yeah, 9 minutes gone. It's Dundee 0, St Johnstone 1. A lovely move involving Sidibe, and Matty Smith was the player with the finish from around 22 yards out. His low drive, low and beyond Trevor Carson and into the bottom corner. Dundee 0, St Johnstone 1.
Thanks, Brian. And it's still 0-0 here with 12 minutes played, but the home side, if anything, Stephen, probably just having the upper hand just at the moment.
Yeah, definitely a really dangerous ball in from Kilty. They're getting a lot of joy down that left hand side between Kilty and Tanser. They've got so much quality, and if Celtic are going to continue to let them get crosses in and pick their man, then they're going to be in trouble.
Gogic with a lovely ball out to Pomono on this right hand side, challenged by Bernabei, but gets the pass off to Fraser, who does likewise for Jameson, who plays in Pomono once more. up against Palma here, about 25 yards from the goal line as he comes forward. So plays a 1-2 with Jameson and then back to Jameson once more. It's nice football, and Bomono just tries to glance on the return pass from Jameson. Might have been better trying to bring that under control there, but maybe slightly unaware of what was around him. It is a throw in to St Mirren, right hand side, quickly taken by Elvis Bomono. Fraser now into Bacchus, edge of the box, closed down by O'Reilly. Palmer tries to hook it over his head. Up goes Bacchus to win it above O'Reilly. Kilty helps on. Welsh inside his own penalty area, just manages to thump it clear. Bacchus trying to keep the pressure on. It's a really good spell for St Mirren. He would fancy that they probably have to take advantage and score in this period if they're to come out of this with a positive result. Palma buying the free kick from Bomono, just felt a slight touch on his back, goes down rather easily. The assistant flags for the free kick, and Celtic relieve the pressure.
Yeah, he used his experience there, used his body well between the ball and the player, and he had to go down because he was under pressure. You know, they're pressing really high. They're working the wide areas, as Stephen rightly says, and both sides, left and right, with the wing backs higher up the pitch and linking up with those two wider players, and they're creating little 1-2s and getting good possession in those positions, and that is all about the final delivery into the box for Mandron.
Scales past the Bernabé's, almost cut out there by Jameson, and then Bernabé stumbled. Jameson, can he find Mandron? Scales with a sliding challenge to prevent it, but here comes St Mirren once more. Bacchus into Kilty, he's caught in possession by Ralston. Tanser had made a good run, but no one could find him, and here comes Celtic on the counter. It's Palma down the left. Bomono and Fraser trying to get back with him. He's about 10 yards from the goal line now. Plays it into Kyogo. Kyogo with the effort, he scored! Uzak Hemi, he's asking what on earth is going on in his penalty area. It looked like he just left it. He was completely unsighted, but Kyogo, out of nothing on the counter, has put Celtic in front. 15 minutes in, St Mirren 0, Celtic 1.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a great ball from McGregor initially to set Palma down the left-hand side. The space was there. Obviously, we talked about the high wing-backs. Nobody coming across to fill that space behind that wing-back, and McGregor just played the ball into the space. Palma had all the time in the world to get onto it, drove into that sort of almost edge of the penalty box on the left-hand side, and he just easily passed that ball across almost about 20 yards, right in the middle of the goal, and Kyogo just got onto it and almost just side-footed it. And I don't know what happened to the goalkeeper, whether he was unsighted and he didn't see it, but he actually hesitated and didn't really go for it, and the ball went in easily down his left-hand side. A simple goal for Celtic, well exploited, and poor defensive work from St Mirren, I've got to say.
Yeah, it was almost like Gogic and Dunn left it for Hemmings, and Hemmings thought that one of them was going to deal with it. But I think that's what we spoke about before the game. Have a go, but be respectful of the quality of Celtic. St Mirren switch off and get done in the counter-attack.
12th goal of the season for Kyogo, coming in with a late run into the penalty area and latching on to Palma's ball into the box. And yeah, there was certainly hesitation and uncertainty in that St Mirren penalty area, as Stephen says, and it's resulted in the goal. And just a moment or two after I'd said St Mirren probably have to score when they're on top like this, they find themselves behind, Faki.
Yeah, and you know, listen, Kyogo's playing that deeper role today, and you know, maybe somebody has got to say, well, okay, my role is to pick him up and make sure that he doesn't become effective in the game, because sometimes obviously his movement is still very, very good and he's difficult to pin down, but it was so easy for him that time coming from midfield, nobody tracking him, and all he do is just get a side of his foot on the ball and direct it on target, and it was in the back of the net.
Well, what kind of response can St Mirren mount here after starting the game so well but finding themselves in arrears after a quarter of an hour? And forward they come on that left-hand side once more, which is where they've had most of their joy so far in the game. It's Kilty infield to Boyd Munce, who plays it forward for Tanser. Tanser, can he catch this before it goes out? He has done it just over Jameson. It'll come for Bomono, right-hand side of the penalty area, sends it back into the middle. Maida gets his head to it unconvincingly, but Kilty can't make anything of it, and then there's a flag up. Stephen Welsh is furious with the assistant referee on this near side.
Well, I tell you what, sorry Al for cutting across you. If the free kick is for initially for Tanser getting to the byline, it's almost about another 5, 6, 7 seconds before the assistant here puts his flag. It was very, very late, and that's why they were annoyed, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we do know that they're asked to allow the phase of play to progress, but that
I think it was the third phase of play, wasn't it?
It seemed to be beyond it, and that was why I think Stephen Welsh was so angry. But St Mirren then trailing by a goal to nil, having made a positive start in the game, but Kyogo has grabbed the goal so far, second goal in the Scottish Cup, having been on the score sheet against Buckie Thistle in the previous round. Here's Palma, who provided the assist, and I've heard some people say they remain unconvinced by Palma, but his return in terms of goals and assists so far means he's been pretty effective in my book.
Yeah, I think the bit that I was saying before the game was that at times when he is out in that left hand side, he gets lots of the ball and does really well at times, but he wants to cut in that right hand side. Now, he picked out Kyogo for the goal from cutting in on that right hand side, but I just think that he has to balance it up a wee bit and get to the byline a little bit more, and especially if the space is there to be exploited.
Yeah, he found Kyogo again just a second ago as Parky was speaking, but it came to nothing, and St Mirren able to come forward, but the ball's gone out of play, and it's a throw into Celtic, far side, taken by Ralston. We've played almost 19 minutes. It's St Mirren 0, Celtic 1. Remember, Airdrie and Hearts to come, live commentary here, but also live coverage on BBC One Scotland. It's a 5 o'clock kickoff, and in between the two games, the draw for the quarter-final, about 20-5. Will it be Celtic or will it be St Mirren who take their place? Here's McGregor trying to make sure it's Celtic. Kyogo gets another shot at goal from the edge of the box. It's blocked this time as it's played forward to Mandron, who flicks it round the corner to Jameson. Up against Scales now. Kilty's made a good run, but so too is Mandron. Stephen Welsh trying to stick with him. He's strong, powerful, pacey Mandron. He's got it back to Bacchus. 25 from goal. Shot comes off Scales and behind for a St Mirren corner. St Mirren by no means out of this cup tie yet, Stephen McGinn.
No, excellent from young Lewis Jameson there, and a really nice reverse pass into Mandron, and he's really made the number 9 shirt his own here at St Mirren. It's a lot of competition, but so strong. Good layoff for Bacchus, and St Mirren win another corner.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to pose that Celtic backline a few problems over the course of the afternoon. Mikael Mandron, as Boyd Munce comes across to take this latest St Mirren corner. Right hand side, left-footed in-swinger, you would imagine, to come here from Boyd Munce. It is right in top of Joe Hart again, who gets the left fist to it and gets good distance on it. Not wanting to try and catch it in a congested area. Tanzer, was he coming back from an offside position? Yes, he was, says the assistant on this near side. And it'll be a Celtic free kick just at the edge of their penalty area. And with 20 minutes on the clock, it's 1-0 to the visitors.
Yeah, and for St Mirren, there's a bit of risk and reward in that midfield area. They're playing with the 2 sitting players, and they're playing then with the 3 up front. And listen, they're putting Celtic under pressure with the 3 at times. They're breaking out well from that, but then they're giving up midfield, especially with Kyogo, Matt O'Reilly and McGregor in there. And Celtic, and that's where the goal slightly came from, because they almost weren't matched up man for man, and that's a danger.
Here's Bernabé, right on the centre spot, really feeding it forward, looking for Maida, who just couldn't bring it out of the air, and it's gone out for a throw-in over on the far side to St Mirren, about 15 yards or so from their own. Corner flag on the St Mirren left. Stephen.
Packy's right. St Mirren are pressing so aggressively, and they are getting joy at times with the square passes, but if Celtic get their head up and can make that forward pass, even over the top like that one they tried for Maida, then they do have more bodies than probably usually have in most domestic games.
St Mirren have won their last couple and 3 of their last 4, including the Queen of the South game, since the defeat here by Celtic. Sitting in 5th in the table right now, just a point below Killie. It really has been another successful season so far, but Stephen Robinson no doubt will have ambitions of making it even better. Trying to get into Europe, trying to get a cup run going, but we've got a bit of adversity to overcome here with the 1-goal deficit after 22 minutes. It's a St Mirren free kick to be taken by Zach Hemming over on the left hand side. He launches it long. Up there goes Charles Dunn up against Ralston, but Ralston comes out on top and thumps it up towards the halfway line. Gogic returns it. McGregor though will bring it down. He's lost it though to Bacchus, who in turn finds Tanzer, and now Kilty left hand side about 30 yards from goal. Just nudges it back to Boyd Munce, who finds Tanzer in a bit of space again on the left hand side. His cross comes in, it's headed away by Scales. It just took a slight nick in its way through, but Scales able to get it away. St Mirren keep it alive. Bacchus, did Palmer just get a slight touch on that? He has done, and it's a throw-in on this near side to St Mirren, about 15 yards from the corner flag as they attack down the right. Bomono takes it for Bacchus, back to Bomono, and then Bacchus once more, right hand side, just tries to cut it in field for Bomono again, but Bernabei comes forward, but he's lost it to Bacchus. Mandron lets it run, chance for Kilty here, can he get the shot away? It's another good challenge at the back, this time by Stephen Welsh to block it behind. It's another St Mirren corner. They're certainly not giving this one up.
Because Kyogo's not a natural midfielder, Bacchus is picking up a lot of the second balls. He plays a clever ball into Mandron, great dummy, and Kilty's very unlucky not to get the shot away.
Yeah, it's good defending there, to be fair to Stephen Welsh. He and Scales in the heart of that Celtic defence, having to work for their money this afternoon. It's another corner from the right hand side to be taken by Boyd Muntz, just beyond the halfway point in the first half, as it was Mandron who climbed at the back post. He did get his head to it, but the top of his head, he couldn't force it back across goal, and it's behind for a Celtic goal kick. 23.5 played, and it's St Mirren 0, Celtic 1. Celtic not yet at the stage where they are comfortable in this cup tie. There's still plenty of work to be done, as Ralston nudges it back to Stephen Welsh, just coming into the centre circle, crossing the halfway line now. Welsh unchallenged out to the left hand side. Palmer first time knocks it forward for Bernabei to chase, almost at the goal line, tries to get it across goal, but just couldn't wrap the foot round it, and it slices beyond the goal line and behind for a St Mirren goal kick. 24 in, and St Mirren trail by a goal to nil, but apart from having conceded, Stephen Robinson will be generally satisfied by the way they've begun the game.
Yeah, satisfied, but probably a bit similar to the Rangers game in terms of losing that goal out of nothing really, but the recovery's been great, and I think Celtic are still giving them a bit of encouragement with the square passes.
Goal kick taken as Scales wins the battle against Mandron on this occasion, and then plays it off him, and it breaks back to Bernabei, who manages to work it out to Ralston midway inside his own half, plays it forward for O'Reilly. O'Reilly having to check back, but does manage to spin and play the ball to McGregor, who's able to advance now into the St Mirren half. Square for Bernabei, just at the edge of the centre circle in St Mirren territory. Back with the skipper, and McGregor plays it out to O'Reilly right hand side. Takes a moment to get his bearings and then plays it back to McGregor. Low ball forward, Maida tries the flick, doesn't come off. Out comes Bacchus to meet Bernabei, gets it back to McGregor, and now Ralston once more under pressure though from Kilty, and has to go back the way and then inside to McGregor. Just inside St Mirren half, Bernabei takes a touch or two to get away from Jameson and plays it back to McGregor into Kyogo, who's come very deep to play it to Scales, and now McGregor once more looking to dictate. O'Reilly lays it off for Kyogo out to the left hand side, looks like he's just overcooked that pass. Palmer won't catch it, comes off the corner flag and goes out for a throw in to St Mirren, very deep in their own territory. 25 on the clock, St Mirren 0, Celtic 1.
Yeah, Kyogo's just trying to find a bit of space, that's why he's coming so deep, and there's obviously a 3v2 in that middle of the pitch. I'm looking at Stephen Robertson out there, and he's asking young Jameson to maybe drop a little bit deeper and drop a little bit on the inside to kill the space that one of the Celtic midfielders will occupy, just to see can they stop Celtic dominating the ball.
Jameson's done really well to get it out to Tanzer again, who has got a bit of room, although Maida's looking to work back and close him down into the Celtic half. He goes, and then he comes back the way to Boyd Muntz, closed down by O'Reilly. The pass forward, looking for Tanzer again. Tanzer almost gets it into the path of Kilty, but Welsh read it and is able to find McGregor, who in turn plays it on to O'Reilly. 26.5 on the clock. Celtic leading by a goal to nil. Came from Kyogo on the quarter-hour mark. Here he is, the Japanese striker, coming forward on the right hand side, plays it in. Gogic fields it out for a throw and over on the far side, but Kyogo, as you say, Stephen, he's not a natural midfielder, but he's such a clever player, and you can adapt to that 10 position very easily, can't he?
Yeah, what I think's happened in the last couple of minutes, Callum McGregor's took control of the game. He said, I'm not enjoying how frantic this has been, let's get a few passes in and let's find that extra man. Yeah,
certainly a player who can do that, as Palmer picks up left hand side up against Womono, looks to stand up to the back post. It's still in play, and Tanzer gets an important header out to the far side. O'Reilly keeps it alive, back to Callum McGregor, into the feet of Kyogo, who nudges it back to Bernabei, about 30 yards from goal. Left hand side now is Palmer, trying to get onto that right foot and find a half a yard for the shot. He's now in a central area, plays it to Ralston. Ralston dinks it to the back post. Maida rises, comes off the back of Bomono, and then he's able to knock clear before Maida can close him down. Maida was on the score sheet the last time the sides met. That's his last goal before he departed for Asian Cup duty. And as Andy Burke was chatting with Brendan Rodgers about, they're getting their full complement back now that O and Yang are back on the bench, having been involved with South Korea up to the semi-final stage until they were beaten, I think rather surprisingly, by Jordan in that semi. Here's Joe Hart in possession just outside his own penalty area, just touches it off to Welsh midway inside his own half. 28 minutes gone, still Celtic have the 1-goal advantage. Here's Scales up to the halfway line, left hand side. Brendan Rodgers trying to get some instructions on. He'll be happy enough with the scoreline certainly, but again, Celtic haven't been overly convincing, but they've been comfortable enough.
Yeah, I think they've actually been a little bit more penetrative today. They're playing quicker with forward passes. Yes, they are controlling the game at times, but they're looking for that forward pass if it's on. Kyogo playing in there is not a natural midfielder, but he is picking up really good positions and creating problems for St Mirren when Celtic have good possession and that. But St Mirren still are in this game and that they just need to get a wee bit more of the ball now at this stage. Celtic was just taking over control a wee bit.
Yeah, you can see Stephen Robinson pointing at Callum McGregor, because Callum McGregor within the last 5 minutes has just taken the sting out of St Mirren. He's played a few passes, he started to dictate the game. All of a sudden the St Mirren back line becomes a back five. Then you've got the two just in front trying to block in the space to O'Reilly and Kyogo, and that's why he gets all the plaudits, Callum McGregor, because he can do that to a game.
What would you do there if you're Stephen Robinson? Could you put someone on McGregor? I mean, he's got those two central midfielders who are both kind of a bit deeper, and McGregor himself, because he's come deeper, it's difficult for one of them to push on, isn't it?
I think you've got to change your shape then, that's the problem. And what he's getting that bit of joy by pressing with the three high up the pitch, one on the right, one on the left, Mandron through the middle. You don't want to really drop back and allow Celtic a lot. They'll still have lots of possession if you do that, but they may have to change the shape if it becomes a real threat to them, if they can't get into this game.
It's a Mirren free kick almost on the halfway line, but Zach Hemmings come out an awful long way to take this one. St Mirren throwing bodies forward, albeit Marcus Fraser and Gogic have stayed back, to who you would probably consider to be aerial threats, but Hemming sends it into the box and Welsh gets his head to a better communication there. He could have left it because that was heading straight behind, I think, but it has gone behind for a corner. Can St Mirren make Celtic pay for that lack of communication here from this corner kick?
Yeah, I agree. Joe should have been screaming at Stephen Walsh there to let that go, because there was pace on the ball. Nobody was getting in there. He sees the full picture and he can direct Stephen.
Yeah, Welsh wasn't to know there was no one behind him necessarily as Boyd Muntz prepares to take this latest corner from the right hand side against the in-swinger. Ida gets his head to it. Gogic is in there, spins off the bar. So close to the equaliser for Alec Gogic. Boyd Muntz comes up in the rebound, doesn't connect with the shot, and it's cleared away, picked up by Bomono, away from a couple of challenges, and tries to thread it through for Tanzer, who's in an advanced area, but too much on the pass. But Alex Gogic spins inside the penalty area and cracks one off the bar.
How has that stayed out? He doesn't know a lot about it, drops his feet in an amazing turn and spin, and he's so unlucky not to get the equaliser.
Here's Celtic looking to go up the other end and make them pay for that miss, but Gogic, who, as I say, scored the winner in the previous round, almost drawn his side level.
I'll tell you what, the corners coming in from the left-hand side are really good corners. There's pace in them. That time it was in, Joe Hart couldn't come because it was kind of dipping down into that 6-yard box. Very difficult to deal with defensively.
Taki, that's why you're so surprised Joe Hart isn't shouting, because you'd think you'd talk about trying to prevent as many corners as you can.
Here's O'Reilly, right-hand side for Celtic, leaves it to Maida. Maida back to McGregor. Closed down this time by Boyd Muntz. Midway inside the St Mirren half. Now it's Bernabe, left-hand side for Palma, up against Bomono, about 15 yards from the goal line. Again, he does want to come back in field, and he plays the pass to McGregor. Kyogo's come off his marker and finds O'Reilly just at the edge of the box. Left-hand side now, it's Palma again, up against Bomono. This time he does go on the outside. Stands a decent ball up to the back post. Maida beaten to it, headed away, and then McGregor slices a shot wide under pressure there. and it'll be a St Mirren goal kick. 32.5 on the clock. It's still St Mirren 0, Celtic 1.
That tells me he can do it. That tells me he can get to the byline. That was a lovely little ball played in, a little dinky ball to the back post. Maeda was on the end of it. It was good defending, but he can get there and he can mix his game up, and that shows it to me that he has got that ability.
Goal kick then to St Mirren with just over 12 minutes left in this first period. There's been a fair amount of criticism and grumblings about Celtic's standard of play and performances and so on, but they are 8 unbeaten since the home defeat by Hearts. 7 of those victories. Just the one draw at Pittodrie.
Yeah, I think the biggest criticism would be probably intensity. I think the intensity is there today. I think it's a Scottish Cup tie, of course, and you will always have to be up and at it. And again, when you're away from home and get down here, knowing it's going to be a tough game. So I think that is perfect for Celtic. And if they play with that intensity, they're all good players. They're all technically good players. They can pass the ball and that. But if they come off that, that's when I think the fans and that sort of can make the comparison to last year, and then the criticism comes in.
Fraser hasn't managed to keep that in. Didn't look like he'd completely crossed the touchline, but the assistant raises the flag, and it will be a Celtic throw-in, pretty much midway inside the St Mirren half, left-hand side. Bernabei takes it, looking for Ida. Barely seen Ida in the game thus far, as Fraser again knocks it out of play on this near side, the Celtic left, and it's a throw-in in a more advanced position into Kyogo and nudged back to McGregor. Now Ralston, who's well up the park, out to Maeda, right-hand side. Comes in off that touchline, then plays it forward for Ralston once more. Dunn in a good position to intercept the low ball into the penalty area, and out for a throw-in over on the far side to the Scottish Cup holders.
Yeah, Adam, he's in with the big boys now, coming up here to Scotland. he's got to be really sharp and that. But playing games will help the young man. The more games he plays, the sharper he'll become. Yeah, well, it certainly took a lot of fortitude to step up and take the 2 penalties, particularly the one in injury time at Easter Road, the game and the 3 points in the balance. But he was cool on both occasions to beat David Marshall, and that's got him off the mark for his new side, as he looks potentially to win a permanent deal here. Back with Joe Hart midway inside his own half. Kilty tries to close him down, but the keeper manages to get the pass off to Welsh, who in turn plays it on to Ralston. Halfway line, forward comes the fullback. Infield it goes to Bernabei, who's taken up that inverted fullback role in the centre circle, and then it's played back to Ralston, and now Scales out to the left-hand side for Palma. Palma in off the left, clips it forward, looking for Kyogo, but he's matched in terms of the run by Gogic, who wins the header, and it's out of play on the near side for a throw-in to Celtic once more. McGregor will just leave this one for his fullback Bernabei. Back with Scales. Just under 10 to play in the first period. It's been a close contest, that's for sure. I think we all probably expected that, and Celtic do have the 1-goal advantage. And Zach Hemming, you would imagine, will be disappointed with the goal he's conceded, because he's had very little else to do in the game and should probably have done better with Kyogo's effort, but just a slight lack of communication with his centre backs has cost St Mirren dearly. Here's Ida inside the penalty area, gets spinned onto the right foot, deflection is just wide into the side netting, and it will be a Celtic corner, but that could have spun inside the post. Hemming was diving the other way, unfortunately for him it was other side of the post, and Celtic have the corner kick. Yeah, could easily went back in the net. It was good play from Adam Ida. He came, he showed for the ball into his feet. He went to go one way, then spun out the other way. Just lost his footing at the vital time, and I don't think he got great connection on the ball.
Here's Bernabei from distance, well, high and wide. A poor effort from Bernabei, really. He was in a good bit of time and space, about 25 yards out, but it was a rash effort, and well off target in the end. 37 played here as St Mirren trail by a goal to nil.
They're so well coached, St Mirren, and they work really hard on one of the defenders stepping out into midfield for that to kill that space, and then they automatically go to a back four in behind. You can see Stephen Robinson there, he was frustrated because they become a back five and Adam Ida gets the ball into his feet.
Stephen Robinson took Motherwell to the Scottish Cup final, which they ultimately lost to Celtic. Celtic under Brendan Rodgers at that stage back in 2018. Charles Dunn was in the Motherwell side that day as well. Here's Scales coming forward for Celtic. We've got about 7.5 minutes left of the first half. At this stage, it shouldn't be too much to be added on as Bernabei looks to release Palmer. Palmer keeps it in right in the goal line. Good ball in, and Maida was arriving late and he sends it just wide. As he got on the end of it, he was under a bit of pressure and he couldn't steer it on target, but not too far away. Still St Mirren 0, Celtic 1.
Yeah, lovely bit of play this time from Palmer on the left hand side. A give and go. I think it was Kyogo maybe to put him back, put him in, and he got to the byline and a lovely little ball and made he's right in the middle of the goal and he steers it wide off at the near post. Probably should have done better, but it was really good play. That's what you want, that sort of combination play, exploiting and getting to the byline, and the cutback will always be dangerous.
The handball, oh my goodness. Bacchus has clattered right into the VAR monitor. He's not happy with Kyogo, who he felt nudged him there, and the VAR monitor has gone for an absolute Burton. I'm not sure if it's going to still be working. It's completely collapsed. And Bacchus went rattling into it. Now Kyogo's trying to offer him the hand there, and he accepts it this time.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything malicious in it. It was just he lost his balance. Two players going for the ball, and you're right about the VAR monitor. It's that's going to be an issue maybe.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's not needed before half time, so that's going to take a bit of sorting, I would imagine. The fourth official just going over to check it's okay. The monitor seems to still be on, but it's on the ground.
It's like something at the WWE in terms of they would fall into the VAR.
Yeah, it was quite a clatter, but Bacchus is fine. He's back on his feet, and the play has resumed, and the VAR monitor being restored just as we speak. Here's Maida, right hand side. We've got 5.5 minutes left of the first period. Celtic leading by a goal to nil. It's Kyogo who scored it after a quarter of an hour. Ida manages to get the header down. Fraser was retreating and allows O'Reilly to find Ida once more. Gogic steps in, but it's cleared only as far as O'Reilly. O'Reilly's pass was looking for Palmer, but Buomono steps in. Out of play from him, but thwarted the danger in the first instance at least. Thought Fraser could have gone and intercepted the initial ball through, but he allowed O'Reilly to pick up. Here's Bernabei into Ida. Ida lays it back for Kyogo. Maida pokes towards goal. Good save from Hemming. Flags up far side in any event, but Hemming wasn't to know it and saved well from Maida. As Celtic, they've just been enjoying a good spell this last 10 minutes or so, Faki.
Yeah, very much so. I think they're in control of the game now. They know exactly what they're doing. They've sorted out and they've come to grips with the midfield, as we already said. I think they're controlling the game from that area of the pitch. They're playing little balls into McGregor, and they're linking up. He's linking up then with O'Reilly and so on, and the movement's quite good. So they are in control. But it's still only 1-0. That's the key.
Yeah, no, that's very true. As St Mirren have a throw-in on this near side, their right wing. As Buomono looks for options about 25 yards or so from the corner flag. It's not so good from Bacchus. Just gives it straight to Callum McGregor, who knocks it up towards the halfway line. But Gogic beats Ida. Stephen Robinson saying that Gogic and Scott Tanser are probably been his best players this season, and Gogic certainly this afternoon is having a good authoritative game at the back, albeit he might have been one of those culpable at the Celtic goal. We'll need to see it back to see exactly how it unravelled for St Mirren at the back, as Kyogo was able to pounce and side foot past Zach Hemming, who's just cleared the ball over the halfway line and found Tanser. Tanser couldn't quite take that one in his stride. Was he fouled there by Ralston? Nope, not according to the referee, and Celtic have it back. 3.5 left in the first period. 1-0 Celtic. Here's Scales over the halfway line to Bernabei, left hand side. Palmer makes the run. Buomono can't quite intercept, so Palmer picks up just outside the penalty area, left hand side. Back to Bernabei, who just helps it on to McGregor. McGregor square for Welsh, just outside the centre circle. Welsh allowed to advance though. Plays it short to McGregor and gets it back once more. McGregor again, and then out to Ralston, just in off that right hand side. Plays it to O'Reilly, midway inside the St Mirren half, finds Bernabeu to get a really poor touch when he's in a good position, and he might be made to pay as Lewis Jameson collects the pass and motors forward. Across comes McGregor to try and close him down. Jameson looking to take him on, he's done well. Bernabeu looking to get back, he commits and slides in and knocks it behind for a corner kick. And Bernabeu claiming it was a goal kick, definitely came off him last. And St Mirren will have another corner from this right hand side, which so far has probably been the most dangerous threat in the game.
Brilliant from Lewis Jameson. Honestly, the work rate him and Greg Kelty have put in has been amazing for the team, and once again he gets himself out of the park. I actually think it's a free kick. I don't think Bernabeu touches him. I think he fouls Lewis Jameson, but another corner for the dangerous Boyd Munce to put in.
Well, St Mirren cracked the crossbar from a corner last time. Boyd Munce delivers another one. Hart gets something on this again, out as far as Bacchus. Bacchus has sold Boyd Munce really short there, and McGregor picks up and feeds it forward for Palma, left hand side up against Bomono, looking to take him on the outside. Bomono trying to stick with him, he's managed to do so far. Again Palma goes on the outside, goes down. Oh, he's going to be booked here. Well, David Dickinson giving the free kick to St Mirren and saying that Palma dived as Bomono tried to stay with Luis Palma. Well, it's difficult to tell. Packy, what was your first instinct there?
No, I think the referee's got it bang on. To be honest, I didn't see. And I could be proved wrong when we see it maybe back on TV. But from my instinct here, I think it was a dive, and that he kind of almost went to go to the byline, but he didn't have the strength to beat the player, and he's almost went to ground, and it was a jump in the air, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the way he went down, and he's almost apologising to Adam Maida for going down and not looking to square it. Elvis did great there because it looked as if Palma had the half yard on him.
So the free kick to St Mirren's taken by Zach Hemming into the final minute of the opening 45 as Bernabeu plays it off Mandron, who manages to keep it in play but can't find a teammate, and instead it's knocked forward by McGregor. There's a barge in the back there by Welsh on Kilty, and a St Mirren free kick about 10 yards into the Celtic half, and some of the St Mirren fans baying for a yellow card for Welsh to be shown, but David Dickinson contents himself with the award of the free kick, and perhaps a final chance for St Mirren to try and threaten in this first half as they look for a leveller going in at the interval.
Yeah, well, listen, he was never going to get a ball. Stephen Welsh, was dropping short, took the player out, but he adds now pressure on himself, in the last minute or so of the game, or this half.
Yeah, Bomono and Dunn over the free kick here, 10 yards inside the Celtic half. It's just touched short to Dunn. I'm not sure what they're doing here. Jameson then gets the ball out in the right flank, and then he swings it in. Gogic trying to make something of it. Overhead kick, brilliant save from Hart on the rebound, can't turn it in. What an effort from Alex Gogic. The overhead kick was spectacular, but Joe Hart was equal to it. Fabulous effort, fabulous save. What a bit of action that was.
Love to see it, that brilliant from Gogic. Overhead kick, real quality, but then the save was as good, down to his right hand side, and he looked beaten.
Corner kick then from the left hand side. David Dickinson just holding play up with a word with a couple of players inside that 6 yard area before the corner kick comes in from the left hand side. Surely the last chance of the first half. Hart gets something on it again, and there's a Celtic player down in the net there as Joe Hart turns it behind. But St Mirren applying the pressure late in this half.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, somebody's taking a throw, and the boards are very close to the back of the goal. Did he smash into the boards?
I don't think the board's that close to the net, is it? I'm not sure what he's clattered into. Maybe his own player. It sounds like maybe his head's come off the post as he's tried to clear. So that could be a nasty. I can't actually see who it is. I don't know if either
Stephen Welsh.
Stephen Welsh, yeah.
Right.
Stephen has had his injuries, hasn't he? He's been.
Oh, it's brave, isn't it? He puts his head in places most people wouldn't put their feet at times.
There's a centre half. That's the key.
Well, that Gogic overhead kick was, you would have to say, almost worthy of an equaliser, but Joe Hart was having none of it and turned it behind, and it's going to be another corner after Stephen Welsh gets back to his feet. He'll have to go off though, as he's had a bit of treatment here. So Celtic down to 10 defending this final corner. Played 2 minutes of stoppage time. I didn't see the fourth official's boards, but we're certainly deep in stoppage time here as St Mirren try again, left-hand side. Can they convert just before the interval? Boymans is Kilty actually in that far side. It's behind for yet another St Mirren corner off a Celtic head. Pressure here on the Celtic back line.
Should be on, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's allowed back on to help defend this situation, and he's gone straight on to Mandron, pushes Bernabei away as Kilty sends it in once more, and it's glanced on at the near post, but no St Mirren player at the back post could do anything with it. Fraser claims that was a St Mirren throw, but instead it's a half-time whistle, just as St Mirren were ramping up the pressure there, so close to an equaliser with the Gogic overhead kick. And he also came close earlier on to an equaliser as he rattled the crossbar, but Kyogo, who's once again making sure that Keanu Bacchus is okay after helping him into the VAR monitor a few minutes ago. But it's him that's had the crucial moment in this first period. After a good start from St Mirren, Kyogo was able to side foot in as Palma picked him out, and with some confusion in the St Mirren back line, they were unable to deal with it, and into the net it went. As I say, Gogic cracked the crossbar in the half hour. Ida had a shot deflected wide not long after that. Maida sent one just wide as Celtic enjoyed a good period, but just before the interval, St Mirren were piling on the pressure, looking for the equaliser. Gogic denied superbly by Joe Hart. Watch that one on the highlights tonight at 10:30 on BBC One Scotland, among other things. But at half-time then, and this cup tie is still very much alive, it is St Mirren 0, Celtic 1.
The Scottish Cup.
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Where Scottish football lives.
The Scotland Rugby podcast is now available every Tuesday. Join me, Andy Burke and Tom English. Just head to BBC Sounds and subscribe to the Scotland Rugby podcast.
It's just seismic stuff.
There's bucket hats as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is this a rugby podcast or is this a fashion podcast?
Why can't it be a bit of both?
Rugby. Let's get on to rugby. There's a lot to be excited about. Today's guest, John McGuigan.
Clubs are at the absolute bedrock of everything Scottish rugby's about.
The Rugby Sports Sound podcast from BBC Radio Scotland.
You cannot help but be so excited. It's going to be the centre of the rugby universe.
BBC Sounds.
You're listening to Sports Sound with me, Richard Gordon. We're in the early stages of this double header as we conclude the fifth round of this season's Scottish Cup. It is 1-0 at half-time for Celtic against St Mirren. A really entertaining first 45 minutes. Kyogo with the only goal. We'll reflect on the opening 45 minutes with Stephen McGinn and Pat Bonner. Later, of course, live commentary to come from the 5 o'clock start. That is Airdrieonians against Hearts. We'll look back in the action from yesterday in the Scottish Cup as well. But in the midst of all that, one big Premiership encounter. It's the derby at Dens between Dundee and St Johnstone. That has also reached half-time. So let's get the story of the first 45 minutes from Brian McLaughlin.
Yes, Richard, it's Dundee 0, St Johnstone 1, but an absolute cracker here at Dens. Both teams having a real go from the opening whistle until the half-time whistle gone there. But just a one goal so far. That came against the run of play, I'd have to say, after 9 minutes. But a lovely move it was with Sidibe and Carey involved. The ball eventually ending up with Matty Smith, and he drilled a low right foot shot beyond Carson into the back of the net. 3 minutes later, though, Smith was involved in almost causing an equaliser for the home side. He was short with a back pass to Mitov. The Saints goalkeeper came out. His clearance so came off the back of Bakayoko. The ball trundled towards goal, hit the outside of the post, and then out for a goal kick. Dundee then a trio of really good opportunities. Shaughnessy had a shot that deflected just wide. Tiffany shot again deflected, this time Mitov making the save. And probably the best effort came from Aaron Donnelly from a corner. His header looked over Mitov, but Graham Carey was there to nod the ball away from the back of the goal line. And then just 12 minutes before the half-time whistle, a clear opportunity for Saints for a second goal. Shaughnessy was a really poor header, defensive header out of the box. Kimpiosa was there. He snapped a shot that was goal-bound before Carson dived high to tip the ball over the crossbar. So St Johnstone leading by 1-0, but this game could still go anyway, Richard. Dundee 0, St Johnstone 1.
OK, Brian, thank you very much indeed. Matty Smith getting his first goal for St Johnstone. As things stand, as Brian touched on earlier on, it's remarkable, isn't it? They will leapfrog a third of the Premiership if they can keep this going. The start of the day in 10th position on 24 points. The live table shows them in 6th place on 27. They would leapfrog Dundee, Hibernian, Motherwell and Aberdeen. But a long way to go, and as Brian's been saying, it's an entertaining game there. Dundee very much in it. Can they find a way back in the second half? Dundee 0, St Johnstone 1 at half-time. We will get more from Brian. And, of course, as anything occurs, anything happens, develops in that game, he'll tell us all about it. In SWPL 1 today, there's a 3 o'clock kick-off, Hearts against Aberdeen. It's 4 o'clock for Dundee United Spartans, Hamilton Motherwell, Montrose against Glasgow City. And it's a 4:10 kick-off live on BBC Alapa for Hibernian against Celtic. The game currently underway is into stoppage time, and it's a bit of a surprise, you would have to say. Partick Thistle 0, Rangers 0. Rangers top of the table, but that's if indeed it finishes 0-0, will offer a little encouragement to the chasers of Celtic and Glasgow City. We'll confirm that full time as and when it comes through. But let's take some time to look back on an action-packed 45 minutes at Easter Road, at Paisley, where Celtic do lead. I know you guys, Pat, you were talking about the opening goal. You're a little perplexed, I think, as to how easily it seemed to go past Zach Hemming. The shot from Kyogo actually goes through the legs of Charles Dunn, so I guess the keeper doesn't see it until it's gone through, and then it's almost too late for him to react. I mean, it was a very good move, got to say, by Celtic.
It was, and they exploited the space. That was the key. And that man, Callum McGregor, right away, as soon as the ball comes to him, he looks up, his head's up, and he sees that there's a huge space down St Mirren's right-hand side, because the wing-back was high, and he just plays it in there for Palmer to run onto. And then from that point on, it looked very, very slack from St Mirren's perspective. Little ball just played across the edge of the box for Kyogo to come on to, just sides foots it. And yeah, you're right. I kind of wondered what happened to the goalkeeper. He was obviously unsighted, because you would expect him to react a little bit quicker and better when that ball went down to his left-hand side. He was almost taken unawares. But it was a simple goal, well created by Celtic, I've got to say. But from St Mirren's perspective, it was poor defensively, I've got to say. Somebody should have been coming over maybe into that area when they were building the game up initially, and they didn't do that. And that defensive shape behind the ball is the critical part, and Celtic, a good team, will exploit it.
They didn't create too many chances right across the half, Celtic, but they did have a little kind of purple patch, didn't they, just beyond the half-hour mark.
Yeah.
Ida with a shot which deflected just wide. Maeda had a shot just wide as well. Did they do enough, Celtic? Were they more convincing in an attacking sense for you than they have been of late?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like, since St Mirren put it up to them, they played with the 3 up front. And they put them under pressure at times. And it's been a good cup tie, I've got to say. Good intensity to the game, and Celtic have had intensity. They've played penetrating passes. They've got from back to front fairly quickly once they sorted out that midfield, and once they kind of sussed out St Mirren that there was going to be that extra player for Celtic in the middle of the pitch. McGregor started to come into it, and he then started to take it. And Kyogo, he was dropping off into areas and that, and it was difficult for St Mirren to deal with it. I know Stephen said that maybe the centre half, pops out into midfield to try to deal with that, but it's very difficult when Kyogo's coming out to the left or coming out to the right, and they can't get to that distance from that perspective. So from Celtic's perspective, I think he'll be happy with the intensity and the way the game's gone from him, and he's got the goal and that. But St Mirren's still right in this, and their corners, Richard, I know Stephen will talk about the corners have been brilliant. They've created a lot of corners, and that's put Celtic under severe pressure.
Yeah, they made a positive start, Stephen, didn't they? They obviously had the right kind of mindset. They forced a couple of corners early doors, and that kind of set the tone. Despite the fact they're trailing, they've, for the most part, been very much in this, and those deliveries from both sides have been causing real issues, haven't they?
Yeah, not only corners, but set pieces from round about the halfway line. Celtic haven't got the height that St Mirren have got. They're finding it really hard to really clear their lines, and St Mirren are just keeping it alive. And I think a couple of Alex Gogic's attempts have came from that kind of second phase, ball bouncing about the box. But they'll take, within St Mirren's best spell in the game, they're really stepping onto Celtic. Celtic scored a brilliant counter-attack goal, so they'll be wary of that at half-time. But I think the message will be, look, we're well in this cup tie. Celtic, when up early against Ross County, didn't finish them off. Same again at Easter Road, let Hibs back into the game. So there's lots for St Mirren to be encouraged about in this cup.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say over his the time of his career, Alex Gogic has been more of a stopper, an enforcer, than it has a goal scorer. He's got 3 goals ready in this competition. He got the win in the last round, didn't he, against Queen of the South? But he has pulled off 2 spectacular efforts. One of them, the shot in the turn from, about 8 yards or so, which crashes off the bar. Joe Hart, no chance there. And then he pulls off a wonderful, a really technically superb overhead kick, which Joe Hart has to scramble and make a really good save from it. You wouldn't necessarily have anticipated Alex Gogic being the biggest goal threat, would you?
No, he is a goal threat. He's very athletic.
Perhaps not in the way that he has been.
No, but in terms of St Mirren, it's the way that we play. They've got goals from those areas in terms of they put the ball in the box, and he's first to the ball twice. And he's probably playing at the peak of his powers in terms of St Mirren. Yeah. That position he plays in the middle of the 3. He reads the game really well. He's a huge influence on the rest of the team in the way they press and the way they step onto the game. He's quick as well. And as you say, I think he scored last week at Easter Road with a really powerful header. He's such a threat in both boxes.
I'll tell you what, see if he scored that goal, we'd be talking about it for ages, Richard. It was a brilliant effort, I've got to say. And it was from about 17 yards out. It wasn't in...
I don't think it was quite that far.
Was it not
maybe
that far?
Maybe about 12 or 10 or 12, was it?
Was it? I thought it was further out, to be honest. I thought it was a really brilliant effort. We'll see it on TV later on tonight. But the save was brilliant from Joe, I'll tell you. And maybe because it was that far out, he had a wee chance to see it at the last moment and get his hand to it. Otherwise, and we would be talking about it, goal of the season, really.
Richard, the one thing you might be right on is if the St Mirren players thought he was capable of it, they might have been on to the second ball.
That's true. I do remember, I think, is it only goal for Hibs? He certainly scored one for Hibs when he was over there, in the top corner from about 25 yards. He's got it. He's got something in his game there, but I think he has generally, you look to his strengths, perhaps have been at the other side of the game. The one thing you would have to say, and look, he's been desperately close, but Pat, it is just 1-0, and this isn't 1-0 with a side hanging on. This is 1-0 with the side behind, still very much in with a chance in this game.
Very much so, and they've taken, as I said during commentary, kind of a risk and reward. They've given up the midfield, kind of almost going for man to get those 3 players higher up the pitch, and the wing backs and those wide players have linked up really well down both sides. They've got their corners, but they've also got into great positions to put corner or put crosses into the box. And you know, Mandarin, if he peels off to the back post, especially with Burnaby on one side, there is an opportunity there to get that ball into him that he can get on the end of it. So they're really in it, and you know, I've always been impressed with Stephen Robertson, the way that he goes about and organises his team, the way he sets his team up today. He knows it's not the league, so he can get away with it as a cup tie, and he's got to put pressure. I think the last time they were here, they dropped off Celtic, and they really allowed Celtic to control the game, and Celtic then got the goals and just dominated. Today, it's a different kettle of fish, and they're right in it.
I'm just incidentally just seeing some of the highlights coming through on the screen there from the game at Dens between Dundee and St Johnstone. So many opportunities, as Brian was saying. Look out for the highlights later. And Dundee coming so close when actually Bakayoko does a good job in closing down Mito, but the keeper kicks the ball against him, and you think it's going into the net, and it flies back and comes off the near post and rolls behind, obviously for a goal kick. So Dundee coming so close, but the goal well taken again. The keeper maybe just unsighted for that one. Matty Smith with the goal there. St Johnstone right now would be moving up 4 places in the Premiership, which is remarkable when you think in terms of the size of the league. Stephen, you're just going to pick up on something Pat said there.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that's a challenge when Packy was talking about the last game and they kind of dropped off and let Celtic play. Can Greg Kiltie and Lewis Jamieson keep doing what they're doing in terms of pressing the Celtic centre halves and matching the full-backs and the wingers of Celtic down the other side? And that's what you're looking at when you're looking at the team sheet. Have they got like-for-like substitutions? Because it's a hell of a shift the boys are putting in. I
was going to say just Richard, also about Palma. He's been much better today. He's been a threat down the left-hand side, and he's mixed his game up so much better today. He's got to the byline probably about, I would think, maybe 3-4 times, and he's put really good balls into that 6-yard box, and Celtic were unlucky with Maeda headed one by. So he's a threat today, and I'm sure they've analysed his game, they've talked to him, and he has the ability to get there with that left foot, there's no question.
my big wonder about that, Packy, is could Adam Ida be doing more in terms of the type of cross that's coming in? Dyson Maida's never really going to score a header at the back post. Can he tell Dyson Maida to get to the front post and he maybe peels out from the back? He seems to almost just be floating about in there as opposed to trying to read the cross.
The Celtic players I see are making their way back out. Remember the highlights tonight, Sports Scene, 10:30 on the BBC Scotland channel, and by then, well, not only will we know all the sides that are through, but we'll know the draw for the quarterfinals. We'll have that live for you. It's being made at around 4:40 this afternoon. So between the games, and if your team is still in the competition and you have cup dreams bubbling away, then make sure you're tuned in and we'll let you know who you will be taking on in the quarterfinals of this season's Scottish Cup. Later, 5 o'clock kickoff with a full live commentary of the one remaining tie, and that of course is Air Trojans against Hearts. So that to come here on Sports Sound. We'll keep you right across events at Dens, where it is that narrow advantage for St Johnstone right now. But it is time to settle back and enjoy the second half. Let's hope it's just as entertaining and exciting as the first half was. It's currently St Mirren 0, Celtic 1, as we get back to Pat Bonner, Stephen McGinn and Al Lamont.
Thanks again, Rich. St Mirren have lost the last 3 Scottish Cup meetings with Celtic since a 1-0 victory here back in March 2009, a Billy Mehmet penalty in the quarter-final, went on to lose to Rangers in the semis. Well, Stephen's pointing at himself as if to say you was involved, were you?
Yeah, I was on the bench for the quarter-final. I played in the semi-final.
Ah, well. Wasn't to be, but yeah, that's the last Scottish Cup victory over today's opponents. Got a bit of work to do to try and emulate that, but you wouldn't necessarily dismiss it out of hand, given their performance in that first period. And Celtic, well, clearly they came into the game as favourites, and even shorter odds now with a 1-goal advantage, but they will by no means be taking the second half for granted. No changes at the interval for either side as Matt O'Reilly prepares to kick us off. Celtic going from left to right as we look at it from the back of the main stand here in Paisley, and immediately Bernabé is giving the ball away to Fraser, and out on the right hand side now St Mirren come forward. It's a poor ball forward though by Bacchus, who has looked in that first half a little bit rusty to me, Stephen. He has been not available for St Mirren for a few weeks.
Yeah, I think that's a disappointing aspect. It's part of the loan deal with Celtic. The Con's not available today, but it's an important area of the pitch to be changing after a couple of wins.
Yeah, Bacchus was out with Australia on Asian Cup duties, who has been playing but just hasn't quite clicked for him in the middle of the park so far, but certainly a very talented player. Here's another one, man-drawn, but his ball for Jameson is just behind the young man, and Celtic have a free kick actually for a foul on Kyogo by Bacchus, midway inside their own half, played forward by McGregor quickly. Maida has touched it on for Ralston, it's a lovely ball, and Ralston comes forward. Oh, it's a great ball for Ida. Ida goes just wide as he slid in at the edge of the 6-yard box. Terrific move from Celtic between Maida and Ralston, and then Ida almost adding to the 2 goals he got in midweek, but just wide, and it remains St Mirren 0, Celtic 1.
Yeah, he was stretching forward, wasn't he? But he got good enough contact to direct it on target, but back across the goalkeeper and by the post. But it was a good move from Celtic, quick free kick, good touch from Maeda, sends Ralston away down the right hand side. A beautiful ball in behind the defender for Adam Ida to get on the end of it, and he just couldn't direct it on target.
Yeah, it's a beautifully judged ball from Ralston, actually, just out of reach of the defender and just swinging in, allowing Ida to get a good contact on it, but couldn't get it on target, and it remains 1-0 to the visitors as Joe Hart put under a bit of pressure there from Jameson, and his clearance reaches Tanser. Oh, Tanser's just run that out of play, and it'll be a throw in to Celtic, near side, about 25 yards from the corner flag, to be taken by Tony Ralston. Celtic don't have a lot of cover now with Alistair Johnstone out for as yet an indeterminate period of time after that bad head stroke facial knock at Easter Road. Here comes St Mirren again down the left hand side, and it's Kilty picking up. Welsh comes across, and again it just An overhit pass there from Kilty, trying to link with Tanser, who was getting forward from the left-hand side, but out of play in a Celtic goal kick.
A couple of missed opportunities for St Mirren there. Celtic been slack, letting them win the ball high up, but they were great at sustaining attacks in the first half. They need to tidy up.
Celtic coming forward themselves down the left. Pomono challenged by Palma, and it's off Pomono for a Celtic throw-in midway inside the St Mirren half. Over on the far side, the Celtic left, taken by Bernabe into Kyogo. Bernabe has it back and goes back the way to Scales, who in turn plays it back to Joe Hart. And Stephen Robinson out there applauding his side press, forcing Celtic back the way. The key thing for them is, can they create the type of opportunity that's going to bring them an equaliser and potentially, I suppose, take this game beyond the 90 minutes. It will be finished on the day, of course. All Scottish Cup ties are. No more replays. As Celtic have it on the halfway line, they'll certainly hope not to need one, as Bernabe was just caught there as he tried to move away from his marker and wins the side a free kick about 15 yards, maybe 20, inside the St Mirren half. McGregor looking to try and take it quickly, no obvious options, and eventually he waits for O'Reilly to come and offer himself.
Yeah, I didn't see much in that free kick, to be perfectly honest. He was caught in almost in the middle of the pitch, or in that sort of inside left inverted fullback position, and he just couldn't work his feet to get a ball away, and the referee done him a favour by giving a free kick when he was just touched, really.
Yeah, they've got another one. Scales went down as well, and McGregor takes this one to Scales and gets it back once more, plays it down the left-hand side, but can't find Palma, and it's out of play. And important for Celtic, you've talked about they've had good intensity so far in this game. Important they maintain that in this second period.
Yeah, it's consistency, isn't it? And that's what, again, Brendan Rodgers had made a reference to, that they have been very inconsistent during games, not even within certain games, leading into the next one, but almost within the game itself, and that's what they cannot afford to do, and allow St Mirren back into this game.
Here's Bernabe picking up on a Gogic clearance into the penalty area. He comes. Gogic just steps across him, though. He's trying to see it out of play. Maida steps in and keeps it alive, and then I think it's Fraser who was back there forcing it behind for a Celtic corner, and the Celtic fans gathered behind Zach Hemming's goal, and pleased about that, pleased about the work rate there of Maida to keep the ball alive as Gogic looked to shepherd out for a goal kick, but as it is, it's a corner which is quickly taken, and Palma on the left foot can't keep the ball in play, can't find a teammate in the middle, and it will now be a St Mirren goal kick. We've played 5.5 minutes of this second period, and it's as it was since the 15th minute. St Mirren 0, Celtic 1. Zach Hemming to take the goal kick. 4 wins in the last 6 games for St Mirren. The only defeats in that period have come against Celtic and Rangers, so they have been in pretty good form, and they've certainly been a match for Celtic so far in this game. And as long as it's still 1-0, they will believe they can get back into the cup tie. Bernabe takes the throw in back the way to Scales. He just launches it up towards the halfway line. Ida beaten to it by Dunn. Bacchus now, and then forward by Fraser. Rather aimless though, and Bernabe gets it to McGregor, and now it's well. It's just the sun threatens to come out in Paisley. It's been a while. Here's Maida, just nudges that to O'Reilly, right hand side for Celtic, back with McGregor. The Celtic metronome keeping things ticking over in the middle of the park, dictating play as Scales plays it forward for Kyogo, as he just blocked off there. He went down and looking for a free kick. David Dickinson has a decent view of it and says no. The Celtic have it back, and it's all the way back with their goalkeeper Joe Hart, who made that fabulous save, worth catching on Sports Scene tonight, from Alex Gogic. The overhead kick, which is also worth a watch. Here's Palma, left hand side, up against Pomono, edge of the penalty area. Again goes on the left foot, coming in here, and the rebound is Maida. O'Reilly cracked the crossbar, much as Gogic did in the first half, but it came back to Dyson Maida on this occasion. He was there to knock it into the net, and Celtic have the 2-goal advantage at the start of the second half. It's St Mirren 0, Celtic 2.
Yeah, again getting to the well, not quite to the byline, but putting in with his left foot, and O'Reilly all the way to the back post, nobody picking him up. and he directs it on target, comes off the crossbar, but Maeda comes straight to Maeda, and he had the easy enough task just to get his foot on the ball and divert it into the goal to give Celtic that cushion, that 2-goal lead that they were desperate for, and puts them in a great position to go through in this tie.
Yeah, it's a long way back for St Mirren now. Dyson Maeda's 4th goal of the season, although as with every goal when VAR is involved, it's being checked just to make sure. Checking for a possible offside, but David Dickinson says the check's over very quickly, and it's a goal that's given. And Dyson Maeda, who scored in the 5-1 win at Celtic Park at this stage last season, and also scored the last time the sides met in the 3-0 victory, which was here, and they're 2-0 up this afternoon, and now on course to take their place in the draw for the quarter-final, which will take place in about an hour and 20 minutes time, and we'll have it live here for you on Sports Sound. Does look like Celtic are going to be taking the place in that draw. Lots for St Mirren to do. A 1-goal deficit, you always felt they were in it, Stephen, but 2 goals, it's a different story, isn't it?
Yeah, my one worry coming into the second half was, could St Mirren play with the same intensity? They put so much.
Maeda's into the penalty range behind Charles Dunn. Dunn's done well to get back. He shouldn't have had a chance. Kyogo's nicked it off Gogic though, turns it back looking for O'Reilly. O'Reilly's won it. Boyd Munson's given it straight to him. O'Reilly tries to stand it up, but he can't get the right foot round it. He's behind for a goal kick, but St Mirren almost gifting Celtic a third there.
Yeah, Celtic going for the juggler. They're just, you cannot dwell on the ball in your own box, especially up against a team like Celtic, when you have Kyogo and you've got Maeda, and those guys come under pressure because they'll go very, very quickly and then top of you.
Stephen, do you want to just pick up on what you were?
Yeah, my one worry was they left so much out there. You go in at half time, you're 1-0 down. Can you bring that same intensity? You could see Zach Hemmings after that missed opportunity for Celtic, just trying to cajole them into bringing them back, the energy. But young Lewis Jamieson out there, the amount of tracking he's doing, they do look as if they might need a couple of subs.
Yeah, it's understandable, isn't it? Because opposition teams against Celtic, they do have to work ever so hard off the ball, and that begins to tell after a while. We've played 55 minutes here, and Celtic, just as they did in the first period, have scored early in this second half. Dyson Maeda adding to Kyogo's first half strike to give them a really authoritative position in this second half. Here's Ralston, tries to slide it through for Maeda. It's a pass he's played dozens of times. It doesn't quite come off, but he's picked up possession once more. Ralston can't get the cross in, it's blocked, and McGregor steps in, but can only knock it out of play for a throw into St Mirren deep in their own half. And I think we're going to get a couple of St Mirren changes here, as Stephen Robinson just tries to turn the tide somewhat. And Jamieson is one of the players who's going to come off. And also making way is Womono. James Scott is going to come on, and so too Jayden Brown. What do you make of those changes, Stephen?
Yeah, well, it's going to be like for like, but you could tell they looked tired out there. Celtic were getting a lot of joy down that left-hand side, and they do need a bit of freshness brought to their game.
And James Scott looking to try and make an impact, certainly can offer an attacking threat, and he'll have plenty of energy. Let's cross to Dens Park, where Dundee, last we heard, were trailing St Johnstone by 1-0. Brian, any change in that?
No, it's still Dundee nil, St Johnstone 1. The home side, though, continuing to dominate without creating any real opportunities into the second half. Made a change at the break. Zach Robinson has been replaced with Dara Costello coming on. He's already been booked. We've had one serious injury, though, Al, and that was to a corner flag, and that delayed play, believe it or not, for about 2 minutes. Still Dundee nil, St Johnstone 1.
Well, it was the VAR monitor who got the worst of it here, I can tell you, but it seems to have been restored to full capacity for the second half.
Both of them might be out for a while.
Here's Maeda, who's put the ball beyond Tanzer down that right flank and's got onto his own touch all the way through to Kyogo at the back post, but he can't bring it under control. It was a tough one to do so, and behind for a goal kick
Yeah, Maeda showing his pace and strength, just knocking the ball by the full by Tanzer and then getting on the end of it, but his cross was woeful. You know, the quality of the cross way beyond the back post. No chance for anybody really to get it under control or get on the end of it.
Yeah, I suppose that's one criticism you might have of Maeda, that sometimes his final ball is not what it might be. That's certainly a threat, and he's proved that with the second goal in this game this afternoon. 2-0 Celtic lead. We're played 58 minutes, and it's a St Mirren free kick over on the right hand side. And as much as they do have a lot of work to try and get back into the game, Stephen, certainly one goal back, and all of a sudden we're talking about a real cup tie again.
Yeah, and I think they need to get the crowd back involved. I think they've got a position, free kick in the position they were causing a bit of trouble for, so just try and get a bit of spirit back in their performance, bit back into their legs.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers calling for a couple of his subs to come back as he looks perhaps to make his first changes. Here's the free kick into the penalty area. It comes. Stephen Welsh gets his head to it. O'Reilly, who was denied by the crossbar in the lead up to that Maeda goal, gets it further clear, and Maeda himself picks up down that right hand side, full of energy, keeps it in, but Dunn able to direct it back to Zach Hemming at the edge of his penalty area. Hemming then goes long. It's Ralston who will contest that with Tanzer, and Ralston just shows the greater determination, as he did, you'd have to say, in midweek. You watched the highlights pack it back at the time that the lead up to that Celtic second penalty. He wins the 50-50 against Yuan, and he just showed greater desire. Here comes St Mirren. Oh, that's a huge chance, and it's headed wide inside the 6-yard box. Another wonderful delivery from Tanzer, and really Greg Kiltie, I think it was, who was arriving late, should have been putting that on target, but instead he headed wide.
Well, we spoke about needing a goal to get back into the game, and the cup tie not being over. So much quality again from Scott Tanzer. He couldn't have asked for it any better. Middle of the goal, Greg Kiltie, massive chance missed.
Stephen, he'll never have a better chance. You know, just all you've got to do is just direct that on target. It's not too high for him. It's not got too much pace. It's almost come off the side of his head, right from the middle of the 6-yard box. Oh my word! And nobody was picking him up either. That was the point.
It's almost like he tried to direct it too much, when more or less anything on target was surely going to end up in the back of the net. But what a wonderful pick out it was from Tanzer. Kiltie just unable to head it on target, and big chance goes a begging.
But can they use it? They can get joy. They're still in this cup tie. If they can keep doing what they did in the first half, they can stay in this cup tie.
They're on the defensive just at the moment. It's good work over on that far side. They've given up possession. McGregor just avoiding a sliding challenge there from Brown, the substitute. He went in at some rate, but didn't make any connection with the Celtic skipper. Here comes St Mirren down the right channel. It's Mandron. He's right hand side of the penalty area, looking for a teammate in the middle, but Stephen Welsh rises highest and heads it away. Comes out to Brown on the right hand side, left footed, sends it in. Mandron on the edge of the box, spins, goes for goal. That didn't look too far away. Stephen Robinson has his head in his hands, because it did look close, but it does go behind for a Celtic goal kick, and they're about to make a couple of changes. And it's the reintroduction of Yang following his Asian Cup duty, and also Paulo Bernardo, and off will come Adam Ida for one. And the other change is going to be Luis Palma departing, as Yang comes, as I say, back into the fray. A double change for Celtic. But it's another close run thing at that end for St Mirren. Mandron wasn't too far away there, Stephen.
Yeah, Jayden Brown's almost tried to hang a ball into the box. He's mishit it, but Mandron's did great, taking a good touch out his foot and put it back onto his left foot. And other than Joe Hart looking pretty comfortable, I thought it was close from this angle.
Yeah, Joe Hart did look pretty relaxed about it, so maybe not quite as close as it first appeared, but I suppose just a bit more positivity for St Mirren in the game gives them belief that they can create.
Yeah, but they've got to turn those chances into goals. They've got to get a goal back soon, or the game will get away from them. And you're right, they've had the chances, but you've got to convert them.
With the introduction of Bernardo for Ida, it just means that Kyogo's step forward into his usual striker's role, Packy, and Bernardo just slot into what is a more conventional midfield three now for Celtic.
Yeah, and you know, of course, we know that Kyogo's movement is really good, and it's another challenge for the centre halves. He'll be the one that's coming short and then dropping the shoulder and going a little bit more movement than Adam Ida, and from that perspective, Bernardo, you've got to see can he open up and play that little penetrating balls through for Kyogo.
2-0 Celtic leads. We've played 18 minutes of the second half, and would you believe the sun's actually going to start causing me problems? It's so bright across there, and this what began as a pretty dank February afternoon has now become almost spring-like. Jaden Brown getting his head to the ball on the halfway line, then knocked out of play by Yang, who played a couple of games at the Asian Cup as South Korea reached the semi-final.
The only thing about those players, they're all fit, they're all come back match fit. You know, that's the key. Even though, you know, a couple of games, but training will be fairly good, and from that perspective, they should fit in very, very quickly back into the Celtic team.
Charles Dunn gets his head to the ball as an offside flag up against Kyogo, who is putting Dunn under pressure, and St Mirren will have the free kick. But yeah, Packy's right, Stephen. St Mirren need a goal pretty quickly, don't they, to give themselves any chance?
Yes, in this period, Celtic obviously got their second goal, but they've taken their foot off the gas just a little bit, so they need to try and keep it alive, keep playing in Celtic's half, and as you say, just keep making them defend, and you never know.
St Mirren have a free kick midway inside their own half, taken by Zach Hemming, long up towards the edge of the penalty area. Welsh gets his head to it, and it goes back the way into the arms of Joe Hart, who sends it long and out of play for a St Mirren throw, and down this near side, the St Mirren left. Gogic just leaves it to Charles Dunn as Stephen Robinson looks for a bit of inspiration for his side to try and somehow salvage this cup tie. But at the moment, it looks like Celtic heading into the last 8, the draw for which takes place here live on Sportsound, as James Scott chases one down and Liam Scales goes back there to block the attempted shot. It will be a St Mirren corner, and if they are to get a goal back, you wouldn't be too surprised if it came from a set piece like this, Stephen.
Yeah, they've did great to keep that alive there. James Scott's read the flight of the ball and got in. Joe Hart wasn't sure whether to come and win another corner.
To be taken from the left-hand side by Greg Kiltie, who's passed up their best chance of this second half, sends it deep, too deep, and it's swung all the way out on that far side for a goal kick, and that's disappointing. Greg Kiltie, it's just like...
I think the corner summed up almost the difference in performance from the first half to the second half. They almost didn't disappoint with any of their corners in the first half. That looked more of a tired one from Greg Kiltie, and a bit of a let-off in terms of how he hit them in the first half.
Yeah, it's been a much more comfortable second half for Celtic, particularly since that second goal went in, and clearly it can make such a difference. Here's Scales at the back for Celtic, plays it forward down the left for Bernabei. Out of play though.
Yeah, you can see just at the pitch, just a little bit more bumpy today, and that ball's just come and bumped up on Barnaby there, and he couldn't control it, and given possession back to St Mirren in their Celtic's defensive third.
St Mirren trying to make something of it over on the far side, the right as they come forward, but it's all a bit scrappy just at the moment. Celtic can't quite get the ball under control though, and Bacchus moves out to Brown on the right hand side, looking to take on Bernabei. Bernabei stopping him in his tracks, doing enough, and then he's blocked off by Brown, it appeared, and then Fraser comes in as well to add his weight, and somehow St Mirren have got the free kick there. I was sure that Bernabei was impeded not once but twice as he tried to get the ball up, and
he's booked him.
A yellow card as well for Bernabei.
He kind of jumped in a little bit with 2 feet. I'm not sure if he caught the player too much. I think, you know, he wasn't high, but he certainly was 2 feet off the ground and kind of jumped in, and maybe that's why he's been booked rather. But the assistant on that side didn't really react too much unless he's spoken to the referee. I don't know, but he didn't raise his flag.
Well, it will be a free kick to St Mirren one way or the other from the right hand side. It's only about just over 20 yards from the the goal line, just 2 or 3 yards in from the right touch line. And again, this is an opportunity, especially given the quality of some of Caelan Boyd-Munce's deliveries in the first half, especially from corners mainly. But this is a good angle on the free kick, and St Mirren will need to try and force Joe Hart into more activity here if they're to make a game of it in the closing stages. Here is Boyd-Munce, low delivery, and again it's a poor one, but Kyogo's clearance is only as far as Bacchus, but his attempted shot was a rather tame one, an easy take for Joe Hart, and it remains after 68 minutes, St Mirren 0, Celtic 2.
Yeah, frustration for Stephen Robertson. You can see him on the sideline. He's really animated. He's been animated throughout the game, to be honest. But that was a poor free kick. You've got to get it by the first defender, and the first defender is Kyogo. He's not 6'2", and he's almost able to control the ball. That's how poor it was.
Yeah, again, that delivery, like Greg Kilty's corner a minute or two beforehand, wasn't up to the same standard as the first half, and that'll be a source of real frustration for Stephen Robinson, who's seen his side perform really well in the first 45, but not really so far in this second period, as Celtic come forward looking for what would surely be a killer third goal. O'Reilly rather slips as he tries to get the ball across goal, and despite the howls from the Celtic fans, it will be a goal kick rather than the corner they were looking for, as St Mirren look to try and keep the cup holders out and keep them at bay. But it looks like St Mirren's long wait for another Scottish Cup is going to continue for another year. 87, of course, when they last won it with the extra time victory over Dundee United, thanks to a young Ian Ferguson's goal. But here they come down the left-hand side. Tanser into the penalty area from the left, sends it across goal, but again it's Welsh getting in the way of the cross. Tanser picks it back up and knocks it back to Boyd-Munce. Tanser once more, left-hand side, steps away from Ralston. He's on his right foot, he's going to go for it, comes off the heel, and there's Brown. Oh, and it's gone wide, and the offside flag is up in any event against Brown, who surely should have hit the target there with his effort, but even if he had, it wouldn't have counted. And with 20 minutes to play, it's still St Mirren 0, Celtic 2.
Yeah, good opportunity for them. Again, down this left-hand side, I think they were desperate for. I don't know who was on the cross. Was it Tanser that was breaking our kilty down this left-hand side? He was Tanser. He was desperate for somebody to make that run across the near post, and it didn't come, and the chance was gone.
Here comes Ralston out to Maida. Stephen Robinson, as Packy says, still very animated in this technical area. Now he's pointing the finger at someone back in there. I think he's saying, right, it's time for you to go on and make an impact. Let's see who that is going to be.
I wondered if it was the way Greg Kilty was running out to the ball. He's putting such a shift, if he's going to be a like-for-like change for him.
Bernardo coming down the right-hand side, just barged off the ball there by Gogic, and Brendan Rodgers and Paolo Bernardo wondering why that wasn't given as a free kick. It's played forward for James Scott here against Scales. He's in a tight angle. Oh, it's not too far away from threatening the Celtic goal, but it does go right across goal, past Joe Hart, but past his far post. Good effort from James Scott for a very tight angle, but it's still 2-0 Celtic.
I'll tell you what, if he had scored there, it would have been an incredible goal, because he was almost on the byline when he struck that ball across Joe Hart. Joe Hart probably was taken a bit unexpected, because he didn't expect him to shoot from that angle.
Celtic free kick for a challenge on Yang over on the far side, more or less on the halfway line. Celtic just edging towards a place in the last 8, with a free kick over on the far side, just inside their own half, to be taken by Callum McGregor, who looks to try and release Kyogo. He's in behind Gogic for the moment. He's helped it into the penalty area, and out comes Zach Hemming before O'Reilly can latch on to the cutback from Kyogo, and he's bowled it out to Bacchus, and now out to the right side to Scott. Scott up against Bernabe on the St Mirren right in the touchline. Back goes Yang as well to help out his teammate. And it's going to go out for a Celtic throw-in down near their own corner flag, left-hand side. And time really is beginning to work against St Mirren here.
Yeah, but from Celtic's perspective, it's just, think the intensity's gone out of the game a little bit for them, and they're doing enough just to probably get over the line. But is that good enough? If St Mirren gets one back, they'll be under pressure.
St Mirren trying to work their way down the right-hand side. Brown goes down, but no foul. But they've won it back, and it's Mandron leading this charge. 25 yards out, he goes for goal. He got hold of that, but it's straight at Joe Hart, who was thankful for that, I think, because Mandron certainly got plenty behind the strike. But the goalkeeper able to field that, and it does remain St Mirren 0, Celtic 2.
There's no doubt that Celtic are giving St Mirren encouragement. You've seen the amount of games over here over the years when Celtic will maybe go 2-0 in the lead and just suffocate you in your own half. But the sideways passing and they're taking extra touches, it's really giving St Mirren encouragement.
With Scales inside his own penalty area, steps away from Mandron and then plays a low ball forward. It's a poor one though, and Bacchus cut it out, and now it's Brown. Bacchus seems to have hurt himself in that interlude, but Fraser forces it down the right hand side, can't find a St Mirren jersey, and it's Bernabei who picks up left hand side for Celtic. Still deep though in their own territory. It's back with Scales, who plays it forward. It's another poor pass out from the defence by Scales, and Scott picks up on the right hand side. Infield for Fraser for Mandron, but he can't pick the pass, and O'Reilly intercepts, and he thought it was a pass on. I think Packy did as well.
Absolutely.
O'Reilly didn't quite manage to find it, and then I thought he was fouled there, but the assistant referee just says that'll be a St Mirren throw instead, as Celtic prepare to make another couple of changes. Yang has returned from the Asian Cup and will come on here, as will Nicholas Kuhn, who made a scoring appearance as he came on as a substitute against Aberdeen at Pittodrie a week or so back. And Kyogo and Maida are the players who will be replaced, and just a freshening of the legs. But there's a penalty at Dundee. Brian McLaughlin, who's it for?
Yeah, the penalty has come for the home side now. It comes after a very lengthy spell of play where the ball was actually out of play at the other end of the pitch. The game was stopped, and the referee has just been called to the box. He's had a look, and it's going to be a penalty. It looks like it was a handball, possibly for a corner that happened a couple of minutes earlier for the home side. But yeah, it is going to be Dundee who are going to be taking the penalty. It is going to be number 17, Luke McCowan. He's just putting the ball on the spot. The referee, David Monroe, just having a word with Dimitar Mitov, the St Johnstone goalkeeper, telling him, of course, that he has to stay in his line. The goalkeeper trying to delay play as much as possible. Yeah, the goalkeeper is on his line. David Monroe comes back. He checks that the ball's on the spot, and it is going to be number 17, Luke McCowan. It'll be left-footed. Another further delay as the players try and encroach into the pitch. But yeah, finally it looks like this penalty is going to be taken. It is going to be Luke McCowan. It is going to be left-footed. It's towards the Shankly stand. The whistle blows, up it steps. Luke McCowan, and he scores! In off the post. Dundee are back on level terms. On the balance of play, you'd have to say they just about deserve it. It's Dundee 1, St Johnstone 1.
Thanks, Brian. Nothing of any great note has happened here in the interim, so still 2-0 Celtic with just under 15 to play, and St Mirren are going to make another couple of changes, and it's attacking changes with Olusunya and Ayunga both to come on for the final stages. St Mirren somehow look to try and get their way back into the game. It's Mandron who's done well against Ralston. Finds Kilty, back with Mandron on the left hand side. Tanzer now up in support, swings it in. Scales gets it out of the penalty area, helped on by O'Reilly. Will give chase. Gogic though is there first, and then Dunn turns away from O'Reilly, stopped by Kuhn, and it's a St Mirren throw in. Changes, are they going to come now? Stephen Robinson holding on to the ball, and he's just having a look at Charles Dunn to see, is he going to pick himself up from this change, from this knock, and he looks fine, so the changes will come now. And as I say, it's Olasanya and Ayunga who are coming on, and off will come Mikel Mandron, who's put in a good shift, and he's tested Joe Hart a couple of times, but ultimately hasn't been able to find the goal. And Greg Kelty, who missed St Mirren's best opportunity at 2-0 down, he will also make way. He just has to go for broke now, Stephen.
Yeah, it's almost like a front three strikers. and they're going to need to get the ball back in the box as much as possible. Obviously Kelty and Lewis Jamieson, different types of players, almost more like wingers, but more out-and-out strikers.
Throw in to St Mirren down the left-hand side. Ralston gets his head to it, and Boyd Muntz wins the second ball. Bacchus gets it back to Boyd Muntz, left-hand side, midway inside the Celtic half, trying to force it forward. It's on to Olasanya, left-hand side, up against Welsh, has been drawn out, and it just comes off the heels of Tanser as Olasanya tried to play him in, and it breaks kindly for Bernardo. Charles Dunn, though, showing a good turn of pace up against Kuhn, and he gets it back to his goalkeeper, the defender. And it's long from Hemming. We've got 12 to play of the 90. It's St Mirren 0, Celtic 2. The cup holders still on track for a 42nd Scottish Cup crown this season. Ralston checks away from Olasanya, back to Stephen Welsh, into the feet of McGregor, midway inside his own half. Ralston now, back to Welsh once more. St Mirren looking to try and keep them hemmed in, but Welsh gets the pass off to O'Reilly, who does the same for Ralston. He can't find a teammate though, and Gogic picks up. Gogic will be thinking what might have been if his two first half efforts had found the back of the net. Here's Bacchus out to the left hand side. Olasanya left of the penalty area, up against Ralston, step over into the box it goes. Hart just manages to parry it away, and it will go behind for a corner kick off the corner flag. And St Mirren, well, it's really now or never in terms of getting back into this cup tie.
Yeah, it was good play though, lovely penetrating pass, and in through the midfield of Celtic and cutting that part of the defensive unit out, and they work it well down this left hand side, and they get their corner.
To be taken on the left by Boyd Muntz. So it will be the outswinger this time. It's tended to be the in-swingers they've played, but they're going to try something different here as Boyd Muntz gets it to Gogic. Gogic claims for a handball as he flicked it on, but didn't seem to be, and it's back out with Boyd Muntz on the left-hand side. It's another good ball in. Who's he going to break for? Gogic tries to strike it. He's charged down. It comes out to the right-hand side of the penalty area here. Ayunga trying to keep it alive, and he's just run it out of play, and it will be a Celtic goal kick. And try as they might, St Mirren just cannot find a goal.
Again, that ball bouncing about in the box. Alex Gogic gets his first to it, gets a decent strike on it. I don't know the Celtic player that blocked it, but it was an amazing block, and he's very unlucky not to find himself in the score sheet today, get Alex Gogic.
He's tried everything, hasn't he? But unsuccessful so far, and so it's still 2-0 Celtic with 10 to play. Remember, Airdrie against Hearts is the final of the 5th round ties. Stephen Welsh knocks it back to Joe Hart, gives him a bit of work to do, but Hart again deals with it well. Hasn't always been brilliant with the ball at his feet, Joe Hart, but that was pretty good play under some severe pressure as St Mirren look for a way back into the cup tie. Olasanya just runs into Welsh. It breaks for Boyd Muntz, who arrows a brilliant ball out to the right hand side, and it's Brown inside the penalty area on the left foot, blocked by Bernabei. That was an opportunity, and it's Celtic are able to come away with the ball on the left hand side, and Yang's done really well, and now they're 3-on-2. What can Yang do here? In support. Yang tries to take on Gogic, and he just stumbles in the end, goes into Charles Dunn, and I think, well, it's gone in Celtic's favour. I think it's a free kick. I think maybe Gogic just had it's a throw-in, in fact, in the end for Celtic. I thought maybe Dunn was fouled by Yang as he stumbled, but David Dickinson says no.
I think to pick his head up a little, cut on the inside. There was a great pass on for the sub Kuhn, but he elected to go the opposite way.
Bernardo has a shot charged down by Tanser, but Celtic come once more. A third goal would definitely finish St Mirren off as Kuhn plays it out to the left-hand side to Yang. Yang up against Brown, just inside the penalty area. He comes onto the right foot. Can he find room for the shot? Yes, he can, but it's wide of goal. He claims for the corner, but the goal kick is given. Yang's certain it came off a St Mirren leg in there, but it wasn't too far wide of the far post, but it was wide, and so it remains. St Mirren 0, Celtic 2, 8 to play.
Good effort, wasn't it? Nice control coming on the inside, and he just couldn't get his foot wrapped around the ball, and it goes just by the post. Could have killed the game off.
Goal kick taken by Hemming, long up towards Ayunga, out to the left-hand side, where Ralston beats Olasanya to it. Olasanya's taken the brunt of that challenge, but picks himself back up and it will be a throw-in to St Mirren, near side, just inside the Celtic half. 2-0 they trail, and heading out of the Scottish Cup as things stand. And Leicester's able to mount a hugely dramatic comeback here in Paisley. Gogic sends it out to the right-hand side for Brown. Brown having to go back the way under pressure from Bernabei, and he has to go all the way back to his goalkeeper, Zach Hemming, who'll be pressed by O, but he just clears first time over the halfway line. Ralston gets his head to it. Gogic goes up, beats Bernardo in the air, helped on by Boyd once. Now it's Olisanya on the halfway line. Bacchus taking over. Poor pass from him again. That's not the first time this afternoon, but he works back to win it from Bernabei. And now James Scott comes forward, slots it, looking for Olisanya. There's a terrific last-ditch challenge almost from Liam Scales to knock it out of play over on the far side. It'll be a St Mirren throw-in. 7 left. St Mirren 2 goals down. James Scott squeezes it into the penalty area, but Scales again first to it, returned by Bacchus, but not very well, and straight behind for a goal kick. And so it will remain 2-0 Celtic with 6.5 left.
Yeah, I think Celtic will probably run this game down and won it, but St Mirren haven't given up, have they? You know, in the second half they've had their chances. That Greg Kilty unbelievable chance to put them back in the game, but they just haven't been able to take them, and that's the key.
Certainly is the key, and Celtic have taken 2 of their opportunities and looking to take another one here as Kuhn comes forward on the right hand side in between a couple of players, gets the shot off, which is blocked by Charles Dunn. Olisanya, poor from him though, and he gives it back to Ralston, and now it's O'Reilly trying to feed it to the back post. Too much height on it, straight behind for a goal kick. 6 minutes left. St Mirren 0, Celtic 2.
I don't know if it makes me sound like a dinosaur when I ask what the players have got in their foot. I've been a part of a dressing room where the managers are saying you're not allowed to wear moulds out, the pitch is going to be difficult. Bernabei and Yang have struggled all night, all day to stay on their feet, and I'd love to have a wee look at what they're wearing under those soles.
Surely can't be wearing mouldies on a pitch like that.
What is mouldies and what is studs now, Stephen? I don't know the difference.
You were a studs man, Packy.
Oh, hey, they were about 3 inches long, especially in the middle.
Celtic have it, and they look to be, I'm not sure cruising's the word, because that might be a little bit disrespectful to the amount of pressure they've been put under by St Mirren, but certainly looking comfortable with just 5 minutes to play in terms of taking their place in the quarter-final draw. But they have been made to work hard for it, there's no doubt about that, but ultimately just clinical when it's mattered most, whereas St Mirren haven't been able to take their opportunities, and unfortunately for them that is going to cost them, you would imagine, unless they can pull it out of the bag.
I think the goals in this game has been the difference between the two teams. You know, Celtic have had it, they've been comfortable enough.
Here's Kuhn looking for Yang. Yang, diving header straight to the feet of Alex Gogic, was a curious option from the Korean winger. Celtic have it back on the halfway lines. McGregor plays it forward for O'Reilly, goes under his boot, I'm not sure he meant that, but Bernabei swings a good ball in, and now it's Kuhn trying to get onto the left foot. It's blocked again by the St Mirren defence, which for the most part has been pretty good, and Kuhn's won it back from Bacchus, who hasn't had his best game. O'Reilly sweeps it goalwards, but it's over the top from O'Reilly, who can't add to his 10 goals for the season, and St Mirren live to fight another few minutes, but as I say, time very much against them. 4 minutes left to play, and they still trail by 2 goals to 0.
Go back to that curious decision by Yang. I think Kuhn, initially when he got in the inside, he could have had a shot on goal. He elected to cross it when there was nobody near him, when he was almost in the middle of the goal, and then Yang decided to have a diving header. I don't know whether his feet he slipped on that surface, but certainly could have chased it down and done anything with it.
I think he was slipping again. I think it was by design. He was already on the way down, and he's just tried to keep it alive.
St Mirren throw-in over on the far side, about 20 yards from the corner flag. James Scott looks to play it to Fraser. It's come off the St Mirren player last, and it will be a Celtic throw-in down deep in their own territory near their own corner flag, left-hand side. They've got 3 minutes left, and it's looking at a forlorn hope now for St Mirren to try and keep their Scottish Cup hopes alive. In fact, it's Celtic looking to add to their tally here as Kuhn plays it forward down the right-hand side for Ralston. Looks to take on Tanser. Tanser has got enough pace to just recover, but Ralston's battled away and kept it for Celtic. Kuhn tries the back heel for O'Reilly, forces it for Bernabei, back comes Scott, and then Dunn makes the clearance out on the far side. But St Mirren ultimately just haven't had the quality when it's mattered, and they are going to just have to focus on league business, which well, they're in a good position, certainly 5th in the league coming into this afternoon, and Europe still very much on their minds for the first time since they won the Scottish Cup. The following season they went in, as McGregor takes his eye off the ball just for a moment. Scales does him a favour, as Kuhn though is closed down by Tanser. It's out of play on this near side for a Celtic throw-in, and Stephen Robinson's side, try as they might, they're going to fall to another defeat to Celtic. There's McGregor midway inside his own half, plays it to Bernabei, left hand side. He plays it one more on to Yang up against Brown as he enters the penalty area, left hand side, good ball across goal. Hemming just dives and pushes it away, and St Mirren able to clear their lines.
Yeah, it was good play by Yang, you know, a little step over and then gets to almost the byline, goes by the defender and puts that ball across section. I've seen Hemming picking up those positions. I think the last game also he stands that yard off his line, maybe a yard and a half, and is able to cover the 6-yard box. He got away with that time because he palmed it out. No takers for Celtic.
Bernardo into there's a slip there from Charles Dunn, which allows the shot at goal, but it's good covering from Tanser, which sends it over the crossbar. Thought he had a shooting opportunity, and indeed he did, but Tanser wasn't about to let him score the Celtic third, and instead it's behind over the crossbar for a Celtic corner kick.
I think you've got to give the defender credit there. It's a good block, rather than criticising. He was in the 6-yard box. Good, he pulled it back onto his right foot, got the shot away. He was kind of losing again his footing a little bit, but the block came in and goes for the corner.
Yeah, he likes a goal against St Mirren. He scored his first goal in that Scottish Cup win last season as a substitute. He scored his first league goal from the spot against St Mirren, and he also scored back in November against them, but he couldn't score on that occasion, and the corner has come to nothing. St Mirren have won it as Celtic played it short, and Gogic, who's been denied 2 terrific goals this afternoon in the first half, won a volley that came off the crossbar and then an overhead kick. A wonderful effort, which was matched by the save from Joe Hart, and ultimately St Mirren are going to come up short against the Celtic side, who have scored through Kyogo and Maeda. 3 minutes added on, and it's not going to be enough for St Mirren to find their way back into the game, as dallies in the ball. He's dispossessed by Ayunga, and now Dunn collects it, tries to go long over the top, but it's a poor ball in the end, easily taken by Joe Hart. And well, just I suppose time to sum up the game, as Celtic look very much like they are going to be in the last 8-pack in. Deservedly so for you in the end?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, they've got the goals, the critical goals at the right time. Second half hasn't been brilliant by any means, but I just think they've worked their way through the game quite easily. They've managed it. Yes, St Mirren has had a couple of chances in that second half. One great one from Kilty that nobody was picking them up in the middle. Now that would have been a different type of game then, but I think overall Celtic probably deserve it from that perspective.
Before we get Stephen McGinn's thoughts, there's another goal at Dens Park. Brian McLaughlin.
It's a goal for the home side, Dundee. Jordan McGee with the header, a wonderful cross into the box. McGee ghosted in between the two St Johnstone defenders at the back and nodded the ball into the bottom corner of the net. We've just gone into around 8 minutes of stoppage time here at Dens Park. It's now Dundee 2, St Johnstone 1.
That could be a big win for Dundee, turning it round there to lead by 2-1. 2-0 here for Celtic in the second minute of stoppage time. Just one more beyond that to play, and St Mirren have it out on the right hand side. It's Scott swinging it in near post. Hart collects well at his near post, and good take. And just going back to Packy's summation of the game, Stephen, was that an accurate reflection for you as well?
Yeah, I think the added quality Celtic have got in the final area, final third, has won them the game, but they won't take any credit of it in terms of how they'll feel tonight. They'll have plenty of regrets in terms of missed opportunities, but they've left everything out there again for the St Mirren fans and the manager, and they can be proud of their efforts. You can see both teams exhausted with what they've gave today, and they just need to focus on the league.
Yeah, here's Ralston down the right hand side as Celtic look to put a late bit of icing on the cake. O'Reilly charged down, Bernardo tests Hemming, but Hemming saves and gathers at the second attempt as Bernardo from just under 18 yards gets the shot on target but couldn't beat the goalkeeper, and so it remains 2-0 in the final few seconds here. Ultimately the Celtic just proving too good, but it has been, as Brendan Rodgers certainly acknowledged pre-match, it would be a tough game. It has been a tough game, but they've been up to the task, and the cup holders move into the quarter-final as the two managers exchange an embrace down there on the touchline. The final whistle sounds, and Celtic do move into the quarter-final draw, which follows this game and precedes Airdrie against Hearts. Ultimately, Kyogo's goal after 15 minutes, when Palmer played him in from the left-hand side, Kyogo side-footed beyond an unsighted Hemming. That was crucial. Gogic, unfortunate in the first half not to get an equaliser as he first hit the bar and then had an overhead kick superbly saved into the second period, and there was an early strike again from Celtic after 53 this time. Palma got the ball into the box. O'Reilly hit the crossbar on this occasion, but there was Maida on the follow-up to net and make it 2-0. Could have been different story if Greg Kiltie had managed to pull one back on the hour mark as Tanzer picked him out inside the 6-yard box, but somehow he headed wide when he should at least have been pulling a save out of Joe Hart. It wasn't to be, and really with that, it was the last really clear-cut chance for St Mirren. Celtic had other chances themselves but couldn't add to their tally, but already they had done enough, and so they do continue their quest for the 42nd Scottish Cup title by moving into the quarter-final draw. It finishes in Paisley. St Mirren 0, Celtic 2.
The Scottish Cup.
This is the chance they've been waiting for. Cross goal, comes must be it.